is an introduction to one of my favorite things to do, which is to paint in watercolors in many different ways. But the first thing is really just getting it all set up. So I love the Stockmar paints, which is what these are, and they are concentrates. And it does say take 1 part of this concentrate to 4 parts of water, and it's more or less what I do. It just depends on how intense you want your colors to be or not. So I've left the last one to mix to show you, and I open up the carmine red, and I've got a little lolly stick, and I won't have to mix too much. I mean, already I've mixed a lot because I'm going to be doing much more, but for little children I could have even less than what this lemon yellow is in a jar, because that's all I need. You don't want old paints to be smelly, which they can often get, and so I would use less. So I just stick this there, and I usually have some butcher paper or something like that, so I can play with it and mess on it and whatever. In fact, I can still leave this in here because I'm going to add my water. So I'll just add a little bit more, and you'll see how intense this color is. So what I'll tend to do is get as much of the paint off. I'm very stingy about paint. I don't like to waste much of this gorgeous color, and so I'll try and get as much mixed in the jar as possible. Sometimes I've done things like paint with these sticks because I can't bear wasting it. And then I shut it and shut the jar and then mix it vigorously. So here are my 6 colors, and these beautiful trays you can get from Dragonfly Toys, and jars. I've got a couple of jars that fit and a couple of jars that don't. So that's how it goes for me, but you can get all the jars the right size from them and fit them in. So I like arranging my colors in the order of the rainbow, just because it's so pleasing. Then the other thing to do, so once I'm done with that, I can either keep it or I can throw it away in the recycling. All this paint will get onto everything. Throw that away. And I've got my little brush. And for children, sometimes it's lovely to have a little story where you say, little Tippy was sleeping in his bed, and one morning he woke up and he loved having a little foot bath, and he put his feet in the bath and he moved them around and tickled his toes, and then wiped his feet on the edge of the bathtub, and then patted them dry on his little towel. And then he was ready to paint. And every time he played with color, he loved to go and wash his feet in his tub of water, wipe them on the side, dry them, and then dip into another color. So what I have here is a painting I did the other day. I did a wet on wet, and now what I want to do is a veil painting, which means that I'm going to paint over these colors with new colors. And with veil painting, you always start with the light color first. So I'm going to take a little Tippy paintbrush, and I'm going to put his little feet in here, mix him around, wipe his feet off, and then I'm going to just paint whatever I want to. And you'll see how beautiful it is to see the colors shining through. Again, dipping his feet in and playing with the colors. I don't necessarily do this with very young children, but even a 5-year-old can begin to experience what it's like to paint color upon color and see the other colors shining through. So the idea is to just paint it in any way you like. I'm choosing to do this. This is my playtime, and I want to see what this looks like. And so Tippy washes his feet in the tub, dries them off on the edge of the tub, and then goes for another colour. And I think what I'll do is I'll go for an ultramarine. Is it an ultramarine? Yes. And I want to see how this looks. He dips his toes in the ultramarine and then he begins to paint. And he plays with that new colour. And most of the time I'm not necessarily touching the colour before, but it's also fun, whatever you do. So what I will do is I will wait for this to dry, and then tomorrow I'll come and paint more colours on it. So this is just an exploration in veil painting, which is painting, letting it dry, and then painting over it in washes. And as I said, starting with light and moving to darker as you go. I went from a light yellow, I didn't go through the reds and oranges, I went straight into the blues because I wanted to. And that is part one of an introduction to watercolour painting. The first one being a veil painting.